Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Theme Park Workshop, the podcast. My name is Jonathan, and I'm here with my co-host Adam Johnson.
Hi, I'm Adam Johnson.
You sound a little sad, Adam. What's
It's a
going on?
sad day today. It's a joyful day, but it's also quite a quite sad.
It is.
I'm not playing that up. It's a bum-worthy occasion that also is a cause for jubilation.
Yes. So, if you have not been following us on Twitter, you may be wondering, well, what's going on here? And this is actually going to be our last episode for the time being, but this is for a good reason, which is that I received a job working at Universal Orlando Resort. You all know how much we love Universal. We talk about it so much on this show. And I'm actually going to be working in a position where I might see stuff and they just want to make sure that I don't share any of that on the show. And it's completely understandable. I discussed this with them, but I will no longer be a part of Theme Park Workshop
In
and the
video or
shows,
podcast.
yeah, videos or podcast. And the show's reins will be handed over to Adam for the time being. So we do want to do a farewell episode, which is why we're here today to kind of recap the history of the show, talk about some secret projects that
Ooh.
we haven't really talked about publicly that got into
They're not happening
various
anytime soon, so might as well open up the floodgates.
yeah, various there's things in various stages of development. We have things that we've shot, we have things that we've written for, we have things that just got lost in the editing room. And we just kind of want to take you through the history of the show and just celebrate the past 3 years of Theme Park Workshop. It's wild that it has been that long. Adam, do you know when we posted our first video?
I think it was in January of 2019, but it could have also been February 2019, which I'm kind of stalling as I pull it up on our YouTube feed, which is taking a long time to load. It was February 5th, 2019 was our very first video. When did we meet? Did we meet in like officially like January 19 or
No, because I started going to college at
no?
18 and I met you before I went to college. So we had to have met in, I want to say
We
2017.
met when Incredibles 2 came out.
That was okay. That was summer 2018, and I was still working at Chick-fil-A before I left for college. So yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Adam was going to UCF. I was getting ready to leave for UCF, and one of Adam's friends introduced me to him, and that it was kind of our friendship grew pretty quickly. We discovered we had a lot of common interests in movies and TV, and of course theme parks.
Yep. The
And
first day we kind of hung out too. I watched all of Milo Murphy's Law, season one. It felt like I think it was the whole first
it was
season.
the whole first season.
Yeah, I don't even remember that day. All I remember is um, incidental music, of which the show has plenty. But I loved it. And then I showed you the Tree of Life and Whiplash, the world's strangest double feature to ever exist on planet Earth. But yeah, theme parks was definitely a common denominator, common interest. Actually, our mutual friend said, Adam, Jonathan's a lot like you, which I couldn't disagree with more in a lot of ways. But in the broad ways, yes, for sure. Theme park movie majors, um, you know, that enjoy each other's company and all that. Yeah, but you came to me with this idea. I certainly didn't come up with the idea of a YouTube channel about theme parks.
Yeah, so we've kind of talked about it from time to time on here, but I run a bigger YouTube channel called The Second Dimension, which I started back in high school, and I've kind of grown and cultivated over the past 5 years. And it's a really cool channel. It passed 50,000 subscribers recently. But with that, I had YouTube experience, and I knew that YouTube, there was a potential market for more interesting theme park content, because a lot of theme park content tends to either be theme park history videos, which are well researched and very well done, or 16-year-olds in their bedroom ranking the top 10 coasters or top 10 Universal rides.
Or leaks and rumors, which we have no experience. We don't have any contact. But yeah,
Exactly.
we didn't. We had no. I had no. I still don't know how people get that information. So we certainly couldn't be like the other Orlando Park stop. Like, no. Yeah, we wanted to be different.
Exactly. And interestingly enough, the channel that's probably closest to us is the Q Line Lectures by Greg Groberic. And we collaborated with him on the Rise of the Resistance episode, which was one of the channel goals. And I'm still very proud of that video. But the idea of Theme Park Workshop for me, it started more as a comedy series. I was definitely leaning into the comedy. I thought, there's no good theme park news show that's concise, that covers the headlines on YouTube, like a Philip DeFranco, obviously we wouldn't post as often as Phil, but um, just like covering the news, making it easy and digestible and interesting. And then I thought, what if I took the format of the Tonight Show, where you kind of have Jimmy and Higgins, but instead of Higgins being a person, what if it was one of the Disney Banshee puppets? I had this idea, like, what if we took, because I saw the Banshee puppets when they came out, and I thought you could make that into a character. And so I had, this idea. I thought, okay, maybe theme park comedy, recapping the news. I know I definitely wrote at least 1 or 2 test scripts with that style, where Banshee would have kind of given one-liners or whatever, zingers for the host, and it would have been pretty simple, like a 4-minute show, because there's not that much theme park news to discuss every week. But yeah, that was the initial thought, and then I took it to Adam, because I said, what, I already do so much with the other channel. It would be cool if for this channel we shared the load and we worked together on it. That way things can actually get done in a reasonable time frame, which proved to be an issue anyway. It's long term. But that was simply due to ambition. I know I went in thinking success would certainly be easier than it was. I think there were a lot of things that I didn't take into account, including just the thumbnails in the title game was really weak. Didn't really lend itself super well to clickability, which was something that I obviously had to learn. A lot of the thumbnails, if you go back and look at the old ones now, they're different. We've sent the other old ones to the trash, and improved.
Where all the old theme park thumbnails go.
But yeah,
where Horizons is.
So our first video was kind of our thesis statement for the show, which was, does theme park story matter? And this one was written and hosted by Adam Johnson, because again, we were trying to set up a lot of things. We wanted to set up the idea of Banshee segments, and who Banshee was. We wanted to set up the fact that we're going to be doing something more analytical, and we were going to do something hopefully more thoughtful and still funny.
Yeah. It also wasn't even supposed to be our first video, if you remember that.
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. Here comes an Adam Johnson scoop, people. We are a scooping theme park channel now. Yeah, the original idea. Well, Jonathan came to me with the idea, and I said, I'll do it, but we have to do a video on DisneyQuest at some point. That's my one requirement. And screw you, Jonathan. We never did it.
Sorry.
I kid. But yeah, our first video is actually going to be a video, our second essay, which was the best Potter ride, Forbidden Journey versus Escape from Gringotts. And I was going to write one on Skull Island Reign of Kong, which came out about a year later. But my Kong script had grown so large. It was basically 3 ideas. It was, why is theme park story important in the first place? Why does it matter in this industry as a guest and as an art form? Here's why Skull Island Reign of Kong is great. And also, here's a history of how story has evolved as an important discipline in Universal Creative. All that was packed into one video. And I sent it to Jonathan, and Jonathan said, this is a lot. It's kind of bad. How about we split it up? And so 2 of those actually became videos. The third idea, which was the Universal Creative history through story, that was supposed to be our season 1 finale. And it was going to be a video that we did this year, but fortunate things happen, and that video will not be existing the way it's going to. But yeah, that's how it became our first video, because it was a thesis statement. Why does theme park story matter? You looked at it and like, okay, yeah, let's do this one first, and then we'll do the Harry Potter video next. Um, and yeah, that's how this video had come to be. It was never supposed to exist as its own video, but I overwrite to heck. It probably was like a 45-minute video, and it was crap too. Like those are the two important things why it didn't happen that way. But it spun off into our first video, our announcement to the world, our thesis statement about what we're going to explore on the channel, or at least that season. And I really enjoyed it. I showed it to a bunch of people and they really liked it. You sent it to like Blimey Cow, you sent it to theme park people, and Houston Coley, and we got good responses from them.
Yeah.
We got quite a few subscribers right off the bat. But nowadays, how do you think it holds up?
I think the writing still holds up. I think our production, it was our first video. We weren't super skilled at lighting. I had some issues with the focus on the cell phone camera. So the green screen's pretty fuzzy. It looks kind of like a blurred edge around Adam. He looks a little low res. No pun intended. But yeah, I think the Banshee segment is a really strong introduction to his character. And Adam and I were talking about this before we got on, but Banshee's voice has changed so much from the start of the show, and we'll talk more about him later. Maybe Adam can put some of our original voice tests. I know they're in there somewhere.
Oh, I think they're either on our Google Drive or they're on my phone and my Samsung Notes. I was happy with the auditions that I submitted. We had different takes. We had what I thought a Banshee would sound like what would an Ekron sound like. I put in a lot of research. I watched Avatar. I listened to interviews from Muppet performers, and I did the voice. And Jonathan said, "This is the worst thing you could have ever shown me. It's like Jar Jar Binks." So
I'm sorry.
we didn't.
I didn't mean to say that.
No, you didn't say it like that. You put it kindly. You said,
okay.
"Oh, this is bad." It's nicer that way. That's because this is the worst thing I've ever heard. Don't worry, I showed it to other people and said, "Why? This is terrible. It's annoying." And then there's like some Matthew McConaughey thrown in there. There was maybe British, definitely Western. But in the end, we decided on the voice that you know now.
All immersive story experiences require some imagination, but that's what makes them wonderful. In The Artisan Soul, Ern McManus writes, "I've arrived, it seems, just in time to correct a little misstatement." Wait, don't you think you should introduce yourself to the audience first? I mean, I know who you are, but... Oh, of course. How could I be so rude? I'm just gonna stop this tape right now. This is like one of those things where it's like, this will be great or this will suck. My name is Balthazar Banshee. My name, little doggy, is Balthazar Banshee. I was born in a store called Wind Traders and adopted by this guy Jonathan, who you will meet in a later episode. And I'll let season 1 of this here channel develop my character more. You don't have time for imagination. Actually, I've never had kids, so I can't relate to that first point. Well, yeah, okay, not gonna happen for you, but still there's so much, too much really going on to ask for imagination. Example, please. You have enough to deal with in the parks, normally, just normally. Crying kid, bathroom break, full necessity, emptying of wallet. Well, cheat hunt, there's absolutely no story whatsoever. Imagination 100% required. Are we hunting the cheetahs? Are they hunting us? What is our role in the story here? I certainly don't want my kids dreaming about hunting cheetahs. That's illegal. Again with you and the kids. Yeah, theme parks are tough with kids. Well, Cheetah Hunter, there's no story whatsoever. Imagination 100% required. Are we hunting cheetahs? Are they hunting us? What is our role in story here? I certainly don't want my kids dreaming about hunting the cheetah. That's illegal. Again with you and the kids. Yeah, theme park stuff with the kids, with the crying and the pooping and the But I don't know where I'm going with this, man. Oh, mercy. Why does this always happen at midnight? I'll never understand. But that ride, while it is more of a thrill than a narrative, the story is you as a cheetah. Again, imagination. But it's called The Cheetah Hunt. Yeah, you're a cheetah on a hunt for something. Oh, now that you say it like that, I do declare that it does appear, indeed it does seem, you may very well have a point there. I will now recuse myself. I will let myself exit the frame. And I will go ruminate while you pontificate in my Balthazar bath. No, you won't be in the Balthazar bath, because I am Balthazar. I am a Banshee, and I have the Balthazar bath. Yeah, okay, stuff a flying unicorn. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Dink.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All immersive story experiences require some imagination, but that's what makes them wonderful. In The Artisan Soul, Irv McManus writes that...
I've arrived, it seems, just in time to correct a little misstatement.
Wait, don't you think you should introduce yourself to the audience first? I mean, I know who you are, but...
Of course, how could I be so rude? My name is Balthazar Banshee. I was born in a store called Wind Traders and adopted by this guy, Jonathan, who you will meet in a later episode. And I'll let Season 1 of Theme Park Workshop develop my character more.
If we, keep you around.
You have to. Rule number 32, never kill a house pet.
And rule number 14, the annoying character always dies.
Touche.
So let's assume you'll stay around. Back to your point.
Oh yeah. Well, theme parks shouldn't require having their experiences have imagination. It creates chaos.
Example, please?
Well, Cheetah Hunt. There's no story whatsoever. Imagination 100% required. Are we hunting the cheetahs? Are they hunting us? What's our role in the story here? I certainly don't want my kids dreaming about hunting cheetahs. That's illegal.
But that ride, while it is more of a thrill than a narrative, the story is you as a cheetah. Again, imagination.
Yeah, but it's called The Cheetah Hunt.
Yeah, you're a cheetah on a hunt for something.
Oh, it does seem that you have a point there. Let me go ruminate while you pontificate in my Balthazar bath.
What's your Balthazar bath?
You know the real reason why imagination should never be in theme parks, Adam?
Why?
Because of Journey into Your Imagination.
Yeah, okay, stuff it, Figment.
Yeah, no, that Figment wasn't in that version of the
But
rat.
despite what the overpriced sock puppet says.
Hello, my name is Balthazar Banshee, and this is Balthazar's Banshee Bytes. Earlier in June, Hagrid's Magical Creatures, in dire need of workshopping that title, Motorbike Adventure opened to rave reviews and unprecedented wait times. And the waits just kept on coming, boasted by regular bad weather in the middle of the summer, those dreaded technical delays and late afternoon capacity line closures. It got so ridiculous that just days after the coaster opened, Universal announced that the brand new ride would not open with the rest of the park for several weeks. This opening, it ain't great.
Yeah, and that was, I think that was just one that I had in mind for a while. Just
It's very Balthazar-like.
It sounds like a Balthazar, and it sounds very. I think I needed a voice that sounded inherently pretentious, and I feel like that's really why we settled on the voice that we did. But then, of course, we had the Forbidden Journey and Escape from Gringotts video in development, which that video it has a lot of things that I mean, and there's some things that I like, some things that I don't. I don't think I'm the same person in that video. It's so real to go back and watch that one.
In so many ways.
I also think like as an editor, because I don't know if you guys know this, but like editing is kind of like my game. I've edited, I think almost every theme park workshop video, but um,
Every
early
theme park workshop video.
video, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I've not touched the videos.
but I think one of the things that I really struggled with at the beginning, especially with the first video and the subsequent ones, is being too beholden to style. And you'll see this, there are some points where I use like a right on right off transition where it really, the editing would have been better served by not using our style guidelines and just focusing on what edit was best for the story. And that leads to a lot of really awkward cuts, and it led to more work for my computer, which I remember the Forbidden Journey versus Escape from Gringotts video. My computer had to export that in like 6 parts. It's only a 17-minute video, but I would have to like export it in 6 sections and then combine those together. So like getting these early videos out, not only was the production far too ambitious, because you have the entire thing on green screen. I'm keyframing the person on the green screen to move left or right as things are moving in and out with like transparent right on layers. Like it was ambitious, and I'm proud of the ambition. Combine that with like the Banshee segments, and even in the Banshee Bytes where Banshee's by himself, making that work and look correct. Those were all huge technical challenges that we really weren't prepared to face at the start, but we did face them, and I will say it certainly does not feel like anything else on theme park YouTube, and that is something that I'm proud of. You can definitively look at one of our videos and say that is a theme park workshop video, and I think I'm proud of that. We, even if I was maybe too beholden to specific stylistic choices in editing, that it at least has that feel.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's like I didn't realize all those struggles that you had. One, because you're in your den slaving away at all that. Well, I'm like, let me imagine all the scripts I could do. Jonathan can do special effects. Let's do this. The workload, we thought it was pretty even. We very quickly realized, wait a minute, Adam's just writing long scripts. That doesn't quite equate to shooting these and editing these and doing VFX work and all that jazz. But yeah, you're right. Like we definitely have a unique, or had a unique style in those early videos that carried on into the Galaxy's Edge stuff in 2020. Like there was a video that came out about the same subject, about Forbidden Journey versus Escape from Gringotts, like I think 24 hours after he put this out.
We also just had no fear. Like I remember asking Seth Kubersky for a cameo in that.
Oh yeah, he's in this video.
He's in that video, and that's one of the most poorly executed cameos I've ever seen. Instead of it being properly written into the script, I interrupt with like an editing Jonathan and come up with this link. It's so bad. It's
not good. I think Jonathan sent the draft to me and said, "This is all we got him for. We just threw him in for that." Oh, okay. And you're like, yeah, no, he was cool with it. He was cool with it. And like, I continually like think Seth Kubersky. I don't run into him like ever, but like in my mind,
I did run into him years later on Velocicoaster. We wrote it together. I don't know if I ever told you this. I forget.
I think you did. I just forgot.
Yeah, so I did not mention the theme park workshop video, but I told him I was a fan of his work, and we talked about the parks and the unofficial guide that he writes for, and I was just like, "You're super cool," and he was like, "Thanks. It's cool to be recognized." So that was fun.
Hey, it's because of him I remember the name Blordak.
Blordak,
my dad's favorite theme park character.
And then alongside these initial videos, we did have the Banshee Bytes coming out, which were kind of their own spin-off series. I think looking back on it, for the amount of editing required, and for the fact that the YouTube algorithm likes longer content, they were really a terrible idea. Like they were a good idea, but not for success on YouTube. Like inherently, it's hard to sell people on an original character, and it's also hard to sell people on an original character that is talking about a niche topic in a short video. The algorithm, not a huge fan of that. But I think like conceptually, Banshee Bytes as a show works very well because it allows you to do satirical theme park news updates. Where it comes
Yeah.
where it brought in issues was the fact that even at only 2 or 3 minutes apiece, Banshee is a special effect, and that means the entire video is a special effect. And I don't know how many of you have worked with puppets, but that basically includes lip syncing, which involves like pausing frames right, syncing audio just right, and then on top of that, I have to do all the same editing that I would normally do, which is visual effects and slides and write-ons, and on top of all that, try to make the pacing and delivery humorous. And it was tough. It was not worth the amount of effort put in by me and by my computer's processor to put those videos out, but I'm still very proud of them, and they represent a very specific time in both of our lives. I think the Universal Creative Trolls skit
Oh yeah.
is still it's one of the weirdest and funniest things that is on the channel.
Yeah, fun fact about that one, to make it even more absurd, I'm playing a Universal Creative employee wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt that I still wear to this day, by the way. The backstory behind that, I don't think we ever went into this. I think in our original iteration of the podcast, that was going to be like, here's the behind the scenes of every episode. Yippee! We are going to talk about this, but we only got like one episode into there before we revamped. But yeah, the reason I'm wearing that Mickey Mouse shirt, I didn't realize we were filming that day. I show up at Jonathan's apartment. Well, Jonathan drives me to his apartment because I didn't have a car at the time. And I sit down and Jonathan's like, all right, we're going to film the Banshee bite. I'm like, we're filming the whole thing? They're like, yeah, we're filming the whole thing. I'm like, are you sure? It's like, yep, we're going to do it. I'm like, okay, well, this is what I got. So we're going to, Jonathan, this is really ironic. Uh-huh. Yeah, let's go for it. Woo. But yeah, I'd love that we did that script. We even have like the Matt Damon joke in there because Borton Stuntacular was being strongly rumored at the time. And so my Universal Creative employee character has a thing on his laptop that says, it's like a letter to Matt Damon saying, please, Matt Damon, come back. We love you more than Jimmy Kimmel, blah, 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 blah. But I do think it's a great concept to do the Balthazar Banshee Bite program. The Balthazar Banshee Bite program, that sounds so official. It never really was. Not like that. Balthazar would be proud that I called it that. Anyway, yeah, the thing about that, I think it would have worked if we were able to do it weekly or every other week. Like 1 week you have the big essay, and then the next week you've got the Balthazar Banshee Bite, or maybe the other week, kind of like what we do with the podcast where we put it out every other week.
Right.
We would have done that, but the workload would have been equal on those videos, actually probably a bit more for the Banshee Bites. And already it was taking 2 months to at least put a video out,
Right.
a main essay video out.
I mean, you got to remember too. We're both in school at this time, and I'm also, for most of Theme Park Workshop, I was doing videos for my channel, but at that time my channel wasn't my job. I actually had another job as a marketing manager. So like all of this stuff was going on at once. So it's like, even if 2 months sounds extreme, like it really wasn't. It was like we were putting as much time into these to get these out as fast as we can.
Yeah.
As fast as we could.
Right. And I just didn't realize how much workload would go into one of these things. Like I thought as soon as we started, we were going to be putting things out like all the time, and not realizing Jonathan's situations. And then other days I just show up at his apartment and we would like just hang out and be friends. And so that time period of 2019 was like important for that. And like when we did the second Banshee Bite, Theme Park Moving Walkways Are Awful, which definitely had a name change because the original was, what was it, Moving Walkways Are Awful? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That poor guy never took off, like ever. It's 2 minutes and it's a great filler, but it just became like the last thing we put out for months because being in college, I don't live in Orlando. I never have. I was just there for school. And so it's like, well, Jonathan, it's May. Can't film anything until after the summer. See you then.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the reality of it. And it was just, we wanted to film more, but I think I didn't want to feel overwhelmed. And I'm the kind of person who I want to focus on a project until it's done. I've since gotten better at that, but especially at that time, it was very much think about one thing at a time. And so eventually we came back with the Is Hagrid's the True Best Harry Potter Ride, which essentially functioned as the first episode of our podcast.
I call it episode 0 personally.
Yeah. It was just us hanging out and talking about our thoughts on Hagrid's. It's really sweet, and it's just very, very wholesome friends hanging out vibes. Then
You actually get to see us like interact, which you don't get on anything else. Because on the podcast, you just hear us interact, and in the videos, you usually just see one of us, or if another one of us pops up, it's to make a snarky comment off the side or to get rid of Balthazar Banshee for a hot second, you know. I don't ever watch the whole thing because it's an hour, and I already know my thoughts on Hagrid's and Jonathan's thoughts on Hagrid's, but but I definitely suggest that you watch it. But even in like the first 5 minutes and like the last 5 minutes, the middle 10 minutes or whatever, like there's some really fun interactions between us that, oh yeah, that's our friendship. That's how we look. Sometimes I'm a doofus, and I definitely have my doofiness in the in that particular video. It was a lot of fun, and I thought it was so cool. Like every time Jonathan puts out a video, I think it's so cool that I'm in a YouTube video, or we have a thumbnail for a YouTube video. Like I know Jonathan has probably always noticed faults ever since he puts a video up, but when he sends it to me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this exists, this is great, good Jonathan, yay. You send me a thumbnail, most of the time I'm like, this is awesome. Other times I'm like, this is good, but it can be better. But that's more nowadays. Back then I'm just like, this exists, oh my word, it exists.
there's that act of creation, that something just getting done is a really cool feeling. And I guess I never realized that you like felt that. I guess I just because I've had so much experience with making and releasing, and even back to like the stuff that I would make for my youth group and showing it there. I guess I've just always kind of had that experience of release and reception. So that's really interesting that this was kind of that first view. I guess I didn't really. I didn't fully grasp that, but I guess filming like a whole video and then seeing it come back fully edited, that's got
with like just the kind of care that's professionalism. Like maybe that first video is a little bit rough around the edges. I remember we got an email saying, have you heard of a lav mic? Yes, we have heard of a lav mic. In fact, they're coming in right now. Thank you for your inquiry. Yeah, but like just it was enough to feel kind of unreal. And I had the same experience when I did these large productions at my church. It was basically a VBS, but the drama, and by drama I mean like a theatrical drama with explosions and stunts, it was just done by us church people. And the 3 years I did that, it was so cool to see my face on a trading card, because that's fun, or in a trailer, or in a piece of media, or I'm on stage living my childhood dreams. This is maybe YouTube's not my childhood dream, but at the same time, I've watched YouTube. I've seen creators rise. I've seen creators kind of drop off. And to get excited for the content. And like, I hope that in the 163 folks who are subscribed to us on YouTube, like maybe we were that for them,
Yeah.
And seeing just like that professionalism that Jonathan puts into everything was just always really cool. I think that's what I meant by that, but all the same.
Yeah, and then I think I'm noticing your Coral Polo and the Hagrid's thumbnail, which makes me think that September, I want to say, when we shot that, we also shot the Skull Island Reign of Kong video, which was our next video.
We might have filmed that in October. It was a pretty quick turnaround on Hagrid's.
You're right. That might have been October, and you just wore the same.
Because you didn't do a whole lot of like special effects editing on Hagrid's. That was basically just us on the couch, and you'd zoom in every now and again.
Yeah, to hide cuts. But then I think, what was it, next January, I did the Rise of the Resistance opening crawl. That was Rise of the Resistance opened in December. I went on opening day. I know, so that was kind of on my mind. So I scoured the YouTube tutorials and tried to make the perfect replication opening crawl. Just because I thought, hey, this is fun, and Disney released an opening crawl, but of course it's on like one website that you've never heard of, and 98% of people who ride this, no, not 98, 99% of people who ride this attraction will never even know it has an opening crawl. So I thought, hey, Disney officially released it, let's make it into a video, maybe it'll garner some traction. To this day, it's our most popular video.
Yeah. not a whole lot of people subscribe off of it, which would have been nice because 3,800 people have watched it. But I mean, folks have certainly jumped off of it to check something out. Some of our most search results are Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, our opening crawl, things like that. So a lot of people definitely checked it out, and I think just about everybody and their mother liked it.
Yeah.
That was another one where someone put the same thing out around the same time. Ours just I think it had a really cool button at the end where you transition into the Galaxy's Edge theme song with, you can see about two, you do the whole thing that they do at the end of all the Star Wars opening crawls, which is to pan down or pan up to a planet. And oh, look, it's spot 2. And you play the Resistance theme or the Galaxy's Edge theme. And it's like, yeah, I want to go to Galaxy's Edge right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am going to hate myself because I am yelling in this mic.
It sounds pretty normal. But yeah, but then after that was the Skull Island Reign of Kong video, which I think this might be my favorite to this day. You know, I don't like your corpolo. It was a pain to look at. Not because it looked bad on you. My eyes did not like how that color looked. And
on blue,
on blue, on green. But I think the Kong video is really where we found the show. That's the first one that I can point to and say, this is like a fully fleshed out version of what I want from the editing. And I feel like I had gotten some upgrades for my computer right around that time that removed the technical challenges, or removed a lot of them. So like I wasn't struggling with RAM expiring or as much effects issues. So that was really good. And yeah, the Kong video is just a really well thought out essay. Adam does a great job hosting it and narrating it, and there's some of my favorite edits in there. The death of Juan and the other guy who we just missed the name of.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it's almost sitting at almost 700 views. That was just a really cool one. I know, because like I went to the Q and sat and recorded all of the Q story, and we really took like a deep look and listened to like all the different characters and the way the world is set up in a way that I'd say maybe 10 other people have probably processed, because you can't hear that radio if the queue outside is full. You can't pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have gone to your personal YouTube channel to listen to that audio.
Yeah.
Like, I think more people than have even been on Theme Park Workshop have gone to your channel and subscribed to your channel because of that Kong loop. But it was a really cool artifact.
Park Workshop, but hey, hindsight is 2020. But yeah, so that was the Kong video,
which we also put out in 2020.
We did. That was 2020.
A year after I wrote it.
Yeah. And then we had, so I was still processing Galaxy's Edge. Had you done? I forget. When did you do Galaxy's Edge first?
I didn't do Galaxy's Edge when it opened. You did that, but I know I bought a ticket to go around that time. So when did it open? In May, or was it in?
No, it was December. I mean, Galaxy's Edge opened in August. Rise of the Resistance was December.
Okay, so I went in December because I think you suggested, hey, just wait until Rise of the Resistance opens. You'll like it. I think that's when I went for the first time. But I can also imagine not going, or I can imagine going that first time, because I think the way I saw it might have been, I think this land kind of works, and so when Rise of the Resistance comes out, it's going to be kind of like a sequel. But I also remember, no, it was December. It was December. I know this because the Galaxy's Edge novel had come out, and I was basically finishing it up just as we were parking in the parking lot to Hollywood Studios, and the ending, having that on the mind, and then think we got on the ride on Rise, maybe something like that. I can't honestly, I can't remember the exact timeline. I could probably look up my pass history or my ticket history and see there, but that'll just waste a lot of time. Sometime in 2019. I do remember it being kind of cold though, and I wasn't sweating, so the signs point to December.
That makes sense. But yeah, so we were thinking about that. We of course had another Banshee bite in the work with our friend Chandler, talking about bad attraction openings, and that
mostly Hagrid's.
The Hagrid's, which it's so weird to think, because like Hagrid's runs so reliably now.
I know.
all the drama of it opening and I feel like Disney gets a lot of flack now, but I'm remembering that was when Universal was catching a lot of flack for their whole operations update posts and it not opening with the park and all those sorts of things. Like that
Attraction
feels
at capacity.
yeah. It feels so far away now.
Don't forget the bees.
And the bees.
Not the bees, not the bees, Which I hate to jump the line, but that was a joke I made in like the first minute of our Hagrid's video, and that's when I realized you don't get many references that I make.
No, they're deep cuts for the fans.
Like there's, and then I completely forgot we used to accidentally stick Jurassic Park quotes in all of our videos.
Yes.
And then when we realized that, we started to purposefully do that. Life found a way, as did these quotes. And
I remember for season 2, we were gonna do Lost World quotes.
yeah. We hadn't even gotten to that point in the scripting of season 2 to like start adding those, but yeah.
Yeah.
You can already imagine Fast and Furious supercharged. So getting off of this ride, Mommy's very angry.
But yeah, so after we did the Hagrid Banshee bite, we did I filmed an off the cuff Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway opening day vlog because I went to ride that, and that was where I met our friend Matt. And Matt is still a good friend of the show. And that was where we became friends, and that was a fun vlog being there for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It was very off the cuff. Adam hadn't done it, so I just kind of threw that together and said, hey, we need something on the channel because it's taking us forever to get out other stuff. And I can actually edit a vlog pretty quickly. But yeah,
well, that one was also cool for me because it was like the first video I could watch as a fan of the channel.
Oh yeah.
Because I kind of made an offhand comment during the Forbidden Journey video. I was puppeteering Banshee in the Banshee Bytes. I was in, and I wrote the Skull Island stuff. I wrote tribute to bad openings. So this was kind of the first time I could kind of sit back and take a break and just like watch this opening day vlog go down before the world shut down.
Yeah, that was days before COVID-19 shut everything down. But right after that, we were working on our Star Wars miniseries, which we initially thought we're going to do this big Star Wars video talking about every part of Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, we're calling it the mega video.
Yeah, it was going to be massive. I think at some point in development, we just realized if we make this one video, it's not going to come out because it's going to take so long to edit.
Yeah,
and it was
well, that, and you're only getting a small fraction of people watching the one big video, and they're probably not going to make it to the end because of the way YouTube algo works. So it'd work better for us and for our viewers to split it up into basically a mini series instead of a mega video.
Yeah, so that was really cool to develop that. Originally there were, I want to say we had 5 videos, and we actually made 4 of them. The one that didn't get made was on Galaxy's Edge and the play features the interactivity with the data pad and like, you know, achievements on Smuggler's Run. I actually almost maxed out, completed the data pad. I wonder if it's still saved on my phone, but like I got nearly every badge, scanned almost everything, captured every message that, like, I uncovered like all the secrets, and it was really cool. It was a fun script, proved that it was the one we thought would do the least well, and was ultimately the least interesting. And there were other ones that we had like committed to, because like we needed to do a Banshee needed to have his take on Galaxy's Edge. We needed to do our collab with Greg Grabaric on Rise of the Resistance. I love
Greg. You're great.
I love Smuggler's Run, so I knew I wanted to make that, and Adam was really invested in the story, and so
I did too much research not to do that video.
Yeah, so
I guess you did too much research not to do the data pad video, but I think even just the collecting of the data afterwards to be able to show it on screen, that was going to be, I think that's really what killed it, was there's going to be so much resource to grab that you're like, no. And if I think we filmed it in 19 or that February, something like that. We were working on it throughout, basically up until the world shut down. And at that point, getting any data pad stuff would have been impossible because who knew when it was going to come back and when it would come back.
Yeah. So we kind of worked on those videos and they all came out. I'm pretty proud of all of them. I think we're both very, very proud of how the Explain the Stories and Characters of Batu video turned out. I know it's one of my favorites that I've edited. It had good marketing, good concept, good thumbnail. I think it's our second most popular video.
If you don't count opening crawl, it is our most popular. So if you do count it, it is our second most. Number 3 would have been Harry Potter. That one. So Rise of the Resistance. It was fun to work with Greg. I think Jonathan did some of his best effects work ever in that video. I love to death. I made it a GIF. I love it so much. His hero's journey graphic. I think it's brilliant. Just really a way to portray that. Smuggler's Run, Jonathan got to just ooze out all of his love of that ride into that video. And and then Banshee was going to make sense. But with the Stories and Characters of Galaxy's Edge, it was basically going to be just another one of our videos. I was just going to host it. But then Jonathan had this genius idea, and he doesn't remember having this idea, but I tell you, viewers and listeners, he had this idea. I was fairly obsessed with the Mr. Rogers documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, at the time. I must have come off that way anyway. I really do like it. And I showed it to him and a couple of our friends as part of like a group that we were in. I'm like, guys, you got to watch this documentary. It's great. It'll just completely change your creative life. And Jonathan's like, hey, here's an idea. I don't know what you think, but what if Mr. Rogers explained the Stories and Characters of Galaxy's Edge? I'm like, I don't know. That might work, but that's really a far shoot. And then it just really tied in everything together as to what Star Wars means and kind of working some of the Mr. Rogers ethos into that. And you can, watch the video to know what I'm talking about there. But that really helped, having that as a framework of what's otherwise recapping 2 books and a crappy comic. And these other details you parse from walking around the land. That frame narrative and having that kind of ethos just really is the linchpin to making that an incredibly meaningful video. And if that was the last video we ever made, which besides Banshee it was, but if it was the last thing we ever did together, that is one heck of a bang to go out on.
It was really the one, like the lighting in that is perfected. Like the green screen is the cleanest it's ever been. The production, like just from a production angle, it looks so much better. Like the live action scenes, you got the lightsaber effect. I'm still not huge on that montage at the end of like supposed to be inspiring shots of Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, I like it.
I think it could have been better, but that's just my editor's eye looking back on it. But
Fair.
Overall,
well, then you're using the music from whatever Walt Disney clip that was. I thought you had just gotten the clip and put the music over, but you're just like, oh, this works, cool. Let's do that.
No, it was a really cool ending transition Adam came up with. But I thought like, oh, it would just be nice to put a tribute. And then that's such a
There's one thing I'd like to have changed in that Galaxy's Edge video.
Oh yeah.
So we decided to one take the opening scene where I sing a Star Wars parody of Won't You Be My Neighbor, and like, it's a beautiful day in the galaxy, a beautiful day for you and me. Referenced it on our AJ podcast. I think it was episode 12 of the podcast. But we filmed, Jonathan, how many takes did we do of that?
If I remember correctly, it's 17.
It felt like 40. I was convinced we had done 40. That's like 17 times officially. But it felt like 40 of opening the door, closing the door, walking to the sofa, failing in some way, walking back out the door, back and forth, while singing this and trying to keep on key and not lose my voice going all out. Not that it's a difficult song, but 17 takes of it. There's a reason why Les Mis the movie is not terribly pleasant to listen to, because they did it all live, fam. But yeah, you could just, by the time we cut to me telling the story of Galaxy's Edge as Mr. Rogers, you just see just like, I'm dead inside and I'm sweating. It's like, what happened on the way to that couch? We ended up using like take 5. Like by take
Yeah.
17, I'm like, Jonathan, we need to stop. We need to stop and reassess because something's not working. Your steady cam, and that wasn't an issue before, but for some reason it's an issue now. I'm kind of losing it. I'm going delirious. I think take 5 was good. Just review take 5 for me, okay? And we'll reshoot. We'll reshoot if we need to. And sure enough, take 5 was the perfect take.
It ended up working out. I'll admit I'm not a perfect director. I can
Well, any director would have done that, but as an actor,
perhaps we should have filmed that last. But I remember like trying to plan out that oneer so that you didn't see my kitchen, which I feel like would have ruined the illusion. You needed to not see the kitchen for you to not immediately be taken out of that experience. But the way we planned it with the lightsaber and the closet and just like
the Justice League poster.
I'm the stupid Justice League poster. Just everything about that it's a very calculated shot. Like if you go back and watch it, like what you see and where Adam is placed, it was something that was very planned out. And also it took so long to film him sitting in the chair that at the start of the video it's daytime and at the end it's nighttime. There's like so many wonderful little details that just make it like you come out of that video and I feel like you're kind of in a trance. Like, oh wow, I was just taken on a journey through these stories, and I think
I was too.
One of the it's one of its strongest assets. But yeah, that is such a fantastic video. It's our longest video. It's our most popular, if you don't count the opening crawl. And it was really a gamble, and it paid off in spades.
Yeah. I mean, that's just really a testament to our collaboration, that whole thing. And I know we just knocked you as a director, but I was flubbing so much on that because we don't have a teleprompter. I basically try to memorize it in spurts and try to go, but there are just some combinations of words that were not working.
Adam would always re-question every bit of his writing.
Oh yeah, and I'm rewriting on the spot too. Like just when we did the Rise of the Resistance video, I couldn't get "Thanks, Greg," and then our outro. I couldn't do it. It took me 40 takes of that one.
It's only 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Jonathan was dead. And I had to. Yeah, that was a whole thing. But the same thing happened on the Galaxy's Edge characters story video as well, because around 7 o'clock of the shoot that probably started at 9 or 10 with the daytime out, Jonathan's like, listen, if you can get this all shot, we can go ride Hagrid's. And like, that's plenty of motivation that I need. I think inside you're like, we're never riding Hagrid's tonight. But the thought of it helped. But then by the time I realized too, we were never going to Hagrid's, I think it started to fall back. And then you said, imagine that one of the authors we mentioned in the video, Delilah S. Dawson, imagine she's watching this video about her book. And I think that changed everything for me.
I vaguely remember that now that you mentioned that.
Well, yeah, you blocked it out like a bad memory. I lived with the nightmare.
That is one thing that I know we haven't talked about as much about things that we would change yet. But one thing that I think we could have easily done from the beginning that we didn't is mark out which sections of the script we wanted ourselves on screen and which sections were going to be covered by editing B-roll or coverage. Just because we didn't have a teleprompter, so we'd have to memorize the entire script, shoot the whole thing, and then parts of that I wouldn't even use because I just picked what I wanted as I would edit and wasn't really thinking with an editor's mind while shooting. We could have cut our shooting time in half if we actually just thought about what we actually wanted to be on screen for and just like shot those lines. And that's something that if we went back to shoot another video, I think that is something we would absolutely do. Same for the Banshee Bytes. Only record the lip sync for the parts he's actually going to be on screen and not for where the graphics are going to carry it.
Yeah, because after a while, your hand gets tired.
Yeah, Adam was the puppeteer behind Banshee for so much of this.
Yeah, you did it the first time, and it wasn't bad. But then when you had to interact with Banshee and Harry Potter, I decided to, try it. And then I think you're like, it's a lot more lively. And so I did it for the Banshee Bytes. And then when we did Kong, I said, Jonathan, let me try it. Let me try it with me with Banshee. Like, let me act with Banshee while I'm puppeteering Banshee and see how that works. That way you can see the camera too. It's just a lot more efficient that way. And so that led to some fun moments.
Yeah. And
I
then
wish we could have put out the bloopers.
oh, there's so many. One day I'll go through and find the bloopers for sure. But yeah, the last official video that we did was Banshee's take on Galaxy's Edge, which that was another one where just my goodness, what an editing nightmare, because instead of Banshee being, stationary like he usually is, I decided what if I put him on a planet that moved around on screen? It looks pretty good, but that took too long for this poor editor. And it was one of those videos that it just got an average number of views, so it wasn't anything as crazy as the last one, but I think that one definitely burnt me out just because of how intensive that Banshee bite was for only 4 minutes of content.
Yeah, I feel like that burns you out on like all of your editing projects too.
It really did. That was the time I was going through major burnout, both with my Second Dimension channel, which was about to be rebranded, and then I didn't put any videos on that for like 3 months.
Yeah.
But right around then also was when I quit my job at the place I was working, and so now I was deciding to do YouTube Second Dimension full time. But unfortunately, that was when I'd also hit burnout because I was making videos for as well, and I had just finished a 10-episode miniseries which involved scheduling and coordination of not official actors to make it was such a stressful time for all aspects of my brain working on media, and I think I needed a break. It was one where I just couldn't push myself to do anything, and Adam and I were holding out for 2 projects really. One which was supposed to be the season 1 finale, which would have been the third part of what we were calling the story trilogy, which we kind of touched on earlier, which would have been Why Does Theme Park Story Matter, Skull Island, Reign of Kong, and then the last episode called Islands of Story, which, like Adam said, would have focused on Universal Creative and how they've developed story over time. And that was kind of always planned to be our season finale, at least from let's bring the whole story thing full circle. We could never get that script as short as I think I wanted it. I liked its length, but it was always a bit in that time of burnout. It was very daunting to think about that.
Yeah, at the time too, I had said, okay, well, what if we try a 2-parter? And so I rewrote it or rejiggered it as a 2-parter. But then it was a matter at that point of just getting back up to film.
Right, and at that point, it was if I had any creative energy. Oh, that's right, because you left college after.
Oh yeah, before we started putting out those 2020 videos. So that's Skull Island, Reign of Kong, Hagrid's Madness, Mickey and Minnie's, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I was no longer local to Jonathan.
Yeah.
I was 2 hours away, back where I lived and grown up. So it was not nearly as convenient to go back. It could be done for sure, and I've done it many times, but it was not as convenient to go back up there and stuff.
We couldn't just shoot when the script was ready. It would have to be we'd have to plan it, and Adam also didn't have a car at that time, so it was just really difficult to get him up here.
Yeah, and at the time I didn't, because no one was really hired or being hired because of the pandemic. I didn't have and also there's the whole thing of applying to a wide swath of things. That was tough for me. So while Jonathan's slaving away at these videos and editing them and doing 2 other projects, not that I was completely relaxed and just enjoying life, but there are just other things happening at the time while we're developing that Islands of Story video or that 2-parter video and the other big project that we didn't do.
Yeah, and so it was definitely a case of burnout and separation, and at that point it was if I was going to focus any of my creative energy, my job was my other YouTube channel now. And so when I finally did get back into making videos for the other channel, which, as I should have been, it was my job. I was just like, hey, look, this is no longer a hobby. I'm trying to put out a video every week to make an income, because like I know a lot of you probably don't have experience with like YouTube and how much it actually pays, but like you can make a good amount. I was able to make enough to support myself if I put out a video every week, and like one of those popped off and got into the algorithm with like 100,000 views. Like I was fine. But that's a lot of work and it's a lot of stress, because your income basically depends on the videos doing well, which is something that's unpredictable. And this is not to sound like I'm financially irresponsible. I had enough saved up for my previous job that this was actually going to work. But I think that first 3 months scared me, because I was like, oh man, I quit my other job and it's like I've lost my ability to make videos. But thankfully I got back on my feet, and that's the important thing. But I think a couple months in, I told Adam, I was just like, look, Adam, I can't do this anymore. All of my energy goes into stressing over these videos for my other channel, and still recovering from burnout. And he was like, you know what, that's okay. Adam was getting the next chapter of his life started. And like I said, it was hard for us to record anyways. And then also I just think another part was we didn't really have any small videos in the works, because we had the other big thing that Adam had been writing for a while. And would you like to introduce this idea and where it came from?
Oh, I'd love to. So as I said before, the condition, it wasn't really a condition, but it might as well have been a condition. When I started working with Jonathan on this, was we have to do a thing on DisneyQuest. I don't care if you've never done DisneyQuest, we have to do a video on DisneyQuest. And he said, I'm cool with that. And so I wrote a video on DisneyQuest. It quickly mutated into a 6-part musical miniseries called The Wish for DisneyQuest, which, besides being about the legacy of DisneyQuest, it was also about the past and the future and learning to move on. Mainly, it was a critique of kind of that obsessive culture of theme park fandom, but also like recognizing like we've been part of it too, and other things. Like there's a great line in there where we put lyrics to our theme song, where excuse me, Jonathan's like, streets of America, wait, who? I'm in love with Batu. Like how things evolve, and many times it's in a good way. Yeah, it really, and it wasn't even just like, oh, we're gonna like maybe take some Kevin MacLeod song, tracks that are free and put lyrics to them. No, I'm like, no, we can do original songs. If Joss Whedon and his family can do it for Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, I can too.
That's
it's
right,
not
yeah.
out of the realm of possibility. I've taken music lessons. I was in band. How hard can it be? Very hard.
Very Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. That was a big inspiration.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just like, originally it was supposed to be, I'm going to sing songs during the essay. So it'll be a musical essay. But then it became a musical film, which then, for Jonathan's purposes, it became a musical miniseries with like 6 20-minute episodes. And there was time travel involved. There was absurdist comedy. There's a whole B plot with Balthazar Banshee leaving the team and finding love. I mean, I think when Jonathan at some point started talking about our season finale, this is what he was referring to, because it really wrapped up some of the backstage character stuff. And I think probably the closest thing to compare this to would be what Patrick H. Willems is doing with his channel, and having his season finale, quote unquote, well, that's what he's calling it, the season finale, be a hour 40-minute movie about this rock character that he made up, and whose plot has been slowly growing over the past several episodes on his YouTube channel. But this was before then. This was in like 2019, 2018.
Yeah, we
far back
started
as
thinking
that.
about this. Yeah, and that, I mean, we had Banshee, and I think from the start, I always wanted to do a character arc and implement story-driven elements. It was one of those things that kind of fell by the wayside in the fact of we just need to get videos out. But we wanted to set up like mysteries. And one of the mysteries set up in the first episode is when Balthazar says, I need to go what does he say? Ruminate and pontificate in my Balthazar bath.
Yeah, let me ruminate while you pontificate in my Balthazar bath. And I say, what's a Balthazar bath? Truly a throwaway line, a throwaway joke. But nevertheless, it stayed, and you were going to see what the Balthazar Banshee bath was in The Wish for DisneyQuest, episode 6.
That was a plot line that paid off, and it was going to be the Mystic Fountain at Universal.
Yeah.
I feel like we can disclose that now because it's not going to get.
It's not happening. So many things have closed down that were featured in that video, including the Monsters Cafe and A Day in the Park with Barney. One of the episodes we're going to film on location as if it were a vlog while doing a musical.
It was wild. There was Adam saying "I love you, Botanicus" in the ETQ. You had a great monologue in
the Monsters Cafe.
Monsters Cafe. And like another thing that Adam didn't really touch on is that like this also was a lot about our friendship. I feel like he put into the writing a lot of who we are in real, like obviously we're caricatures of ourselves in that script. But Adam put a lot of our friendship and the types of things that we would discuss into our characters. And like obviously in a very exaggerated, goofy sort of way, but like it's very reminiscent of like our trips to Universal together, and like the things like I think in the start of it, we finished filming a theme park workshop video, and we go get
Islands of Story actually.
Yeah, we finished Islands of Story, which we need to make that first for Wish for DisneyQuest to work. But like when we go get Mexican pizza from Taco Bell, and then we have a discussion about what video we're making next, but Balthazar Banshee's there, and what video is he championing that he wanted to do?
I don't even think he was. I think he was just butting in with the conversation. You want to do Kid Zone. That was what it was. You're like, well, we planned on doing this Kid Zone video. I'm like, no, I come in like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada. That's what the script says. And I'm like, I've got a great idea. We're going to do the DisneyQuest video. And I come and drop 120 pages on his dining room table saying, this is what we're going to do. And Balthazar Banshee's like, why does no one listen to me? And that's right. How our friendship is dissipated until Jonathan's visited by a future version of himself.
Yeah, there's a great.
I don't remember what the plot ended up being for that in the final draft.
Yeah,
it just really got out of control.
It really did. I mean, like Adam said, there's a whole plot with Banshee finding love. There's fantastic monologues and just like different styles of experimentation. There's a lot of reasons this wouldn't work. Number one, I
think you can tell many of them just by listening to it.
Number one is the fact that I overestimated the time that I would have to learn music production. This was something that I said, going into it, like I didn't expect Adam to learn how to produce music. I thought, that's something that I can just learn. And that was just something that I never had time to. And I know if I had tried, it would have been abysmal. The instrumentation, the song quality would not have been what I wanted it to be. And trying to translate what Adam wrote, I'm just not that talented of a musician, and we wouldn't have had the budget for that kind of a musician. I think that always hung over it for me, was we're going to have to get the songs produced before we can shoot. And then when we get to shooting, there's all the issues of shooting inside theme parks. And on top of that, even though we're going to
in Disney Springs, the opening number was in Disney Springs.
Yeah, even though we were going to go like vlog style for a lot of it, that's still shooting in the parks is not easy. And also the fact that we have never shot Theme Park Workshop on an actual camera. We've always shot it on my cell phone. And not a lot of people know how to properly use a cell phone camera with the right app. And also we've always shot everything ourselves on tripods or setting it up or passing it off back and forth. And so to try and do this with Banshee effects would have required, we would have basically had to storyboard the whole thing so that it would have been feasible for us to shoot it point blank, where we could just let the camera roll and then act and then turn it off. But we really would have needed another person to help us shoot, and we didn't have somebody that knew us and the show and was super good with that I felt like, even to hold the mic, I feel like that's might even be more important. But yeah, so like production wise, it was kind of infeasible unless we could hire an additional person or find and teach a friend to shoot it. And the music,
and buy them a pass.
yeah, exactly, to get into Universal. And then like I think we could have pulled off a lot of the shooting, but
Yeah.
it would have been certainly a challenge to say the least.
Yeah. And then the songs were never finished anyway. Like I remember we did our first read through, and I started getting pissy, not too far into it because of a long note. And then as we're running down all the things we're gonna need to fix the script, and then I'm like, well, that's gonna be a lot of time to fix these things in the script. I think I say to Jonathan, like, well, logistics wise, is it even worth it to revisit this? Like, is it even worth it to edit it? And we basically talked about what he just said and decided no, it wouldn't be worth it. And so the songs just live in our heads. I never wrote them down. I wrote the lyrics down. I'm good at that. Writing the music is another thing. Because with so many genres, way ambitious. And I think if we had unlimited resources, and I don't mean like $1 million, but like if we had a lot of time, we could have figured it out. But
and if we
at
lived
this point in
the same
Jonathan's life
place.
and the point of my life, when we actually finished the script, there was no way, including like COVID was happening,
Yeah.
like really strongly, no vaccine happening.
Yeah.
So there's just so many factors that it had to be put to bed. And we talked about like maybe doing it as like an audio only kind of thing for the Patreon, and whatnot. But we haven't revisited it since then, but we think very fondly of it. And we wish, I think, that we could have been able to execute it and show it to you guys, because it was going to be a big labor of love, both for how we work together, the theme park workshop as a whole, and the different attractions. Like there's so many Gringotts call outs and Rise of the Resistance call outs. And of course, DisneyQuest. Like, I think it would have done really well just because of the audacity of doing a musical about DisneyQuest on YouTube.
Absolutely. We could have marketed this and it would have become a cult classic, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like.
So stay tuned for 2034. The Wish for DisneyQuest comes out on YouTube, if it still exists. Maybe Vimeo has become the
Maybe we'll be eating in the Epic Universe Monsters Cafe.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, with every closure, that script just rings more resonant, which is why it's a bummer that it's not around, but it could not have happened. It just became an impossibility. I talked with one of the professors about it too. My film professors, Barry.
Yeah.
I mentioned it to him. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds exciting. Well, good luck with that." And obviously not in contact with him, but if I were, I would have said, "I'm sorry, Barry, it never happened."
Yeah, it's very much a product of its time, and I think that's part of what gives the script its charm for sure. But I think we held on to that for too long, and again, combined with the burnout, like I should have known. Like I just assumed I would have time to teach myself music production, and that was over ambitious. I mean, if you've learned anything from the history of this channel, I always shoot sky high and we land a little bit lower, with so many of the concepts. Like again, the Banshee show should not work. It's making a puppet and doing a whole show with two people who have never puppeteered or done this type of thing before. But then we end up with Balthazar's Banshee Bytes, and it's somewhere right in the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the wish for DisneyQuest, and if you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments, and I'm sure Adam in particular would love to answer and dive into the script. And I guess would you be okay sharing the script if somebody wanted to see it?
Yeah, of course. It's not going to be produced otherwise.
Yeah. So if people shoot us an email.
Yeah, if people shoot us an email, send us a DM, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also another, I don't know if you're going to go into this, but we had another video in the can ready to go ish.
We did. So yeah, I'll dive into this one. This was one that
this was like your love child.
I championed this video. It was a really interesting concept. We actually did shoot this video. Never made it never made it into the editing room because it came in right at that burnout time. But it was called the Token Animatronic, and it was what I like to call the phenomenon of theme park attractions featuring one cool animatronic and calling it a day. Usually in the queue, but it's the one and done animatronic phenomenon. And we talked about the Navi River Journey, which features infamously the one Navi Shaman, which is the ride's token animatronic. The Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which features Hondo Onaka as the one token animatronic. And I feel like there was one other prevalent example. My mind's blanking on it. It's been a while.
I think for some reason I thought we brought up the penguins in Antarctica, but like there should have been animatronics, but there never was.
Yeah, like.
But I might be also be confusing the Antarctica video that I wrote. That
we could have also mentioned Gringotts and the Goblin.
Yeah.
Goblin animatronics and the Q wires, everything else is screens. Like using an animatronic in one place and then that's it for the whole ride, and that whole kind of phenomenon. It was a really cool video. Balthazar Banshee.
He's also going to tie into Balthazar's first guest appearance off the channel.
That's right, because he was going to be missing, and Banshee had made a guest appearance on our friend Chandler's channel, and that was going to be the canonical reason or episode that he was gone for that during, and that was also going to tie into his arc of him falling away from Theme Park Workshop. I think we kind of planned that, but yeah, that was again me trying to put more story stuff in there. But
that's a bad idea.
It's another script that I think we posted on Patreon. If you want it, again, just shoot us an email.
As we're going into the hiatus period that we are about to enter in our history, we were just not putting stuff out, and we didn't know when we were going to put stuff out. And at this point, we had opened up a Patreon, and we had people that we knew, especially. If you're giving us money, we need to deliver, obviously. But there's like that extra guilt too. It's like, oh man, our friends are just giving us money, and it's like they're giving us free money because we're not putting stuff out. Here's everything we've got. Please take it. Go, please take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Jonathan said, if you're interested in any of this, email us, let us know.
Yeah. And then after that, we went on a lengthy hiatus. This was again due to I was picking up work on the other channel. Adam was finding a new job and kind of forging his way in life after college, which is, difficult thing. But also, being so far away. And so I think at some point
without a car.
Without
all
a
of this
car.
would have been solved had I bought my car not last month.
That's it. You would have a wish for DisneyQuest right now.
Yep.
No, but yeah. So I think, if I remember right, we were kicking around Wish for DisneyQuest until I would say January 2021. December 2020, January 2021. I'm trying to remember when we officially canned that and said it wasn't happening.
I think it was in 2020.
You think it was late 2020?
The reason I say 2020 is because I was writing scripts at this time. I had applied for a screenwriting fellowship, I think it was. And so I'd written 2 pilots, and I think DisneyQuest was in the midst of that. But that was in the middle of 2020. By 2021, I did have my full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had kicked DisneyQuest to the curb in 2020. I remember I recorded that Zoom, and I have not gone back to watch that Zoom. I don't think anyone should watch that Zoom because of the all the notes that were given. Like it's a very rough process, but it's not for you to see, so it wasn't matter.
Yeah, that was I think on that Zoom call, was that the one where we officially dismantled it? After that note session, yeah, and we were just not. We weren't feeling it. I think Adam said he was being pissy. I think I was being pissy too.
We were all being pissy, and when everyone's being pissy on a Zoom, on top of that,
on top of that, yeah, I think just the strain of running the channel without anything coming out on both sides, and I don't know how much of my struggle Adam understood. He was very understanding, but I'm trying to remember back to that time if you felt like the lack of videos was laziness on my part or
no, because I had also been pitching ideas to put out videos that weren't as involved around that time. I would take a load off for you, and I would film stuff. One thing I want to do is workshop chats where it's
we talked about that.
Let's talk about immersive lands for a little bit. Tell me your favorite immersive lands, and obviously be a little bit more than that, but it would be more low key, but still kind of have that. To me, it would have encouraged conversation. I was supposed to film a vlog of the Bourne Stuntacular, but we ended up hanging out with friends that day, and I'm like, I can't vlog around, people. This is a solely like one-on-one kind of thing, and then you can jump in. But yeah, I don't want to shove a telephone in people's faces vlogging. So we had ideas of what to do to fill this time, and I promised Jonathan a lot more than I ever executed, because as you can see, if you go on our channel, it's August 2020, October 2021. There are ideas. There was an idea like the Avengers, but like in Age of Ultron, it all kind of falls apart.
Yeah, so there was very much a developmental time. We were both growing and changing, and there was a lot happening. And then we eventually came. I was kind of like, okay, I'm in a better place. Later 2021. Let's go ahead and figure out how to restart this somehow. And my initial pitch to Adam was not videos, but blogs, because Adam was so good at writing scripts. I thought, what if we could take the script, reformat it, and make it a blog post, like a theme park workshop analytical blog. And I thought that was an interesting idea. And I was like, it wouldn't require any production on either end. We can just both share our thoughts or work on scripts together, and put them on a blog. And I think you liked that idea, but you still wanted to stick with the YouTube channel.
I figured that the blog was going to be a supplement to whatever we put out on YouTube. Like from the conversations that we had, it sounded like they'd go hand in hand. The blog would be a way to promote the channel would be a way to get people interested in the blog as well. Because there's a lot of, outlets that have both the blog that have, a channel or a pod or something like that. Things that come to mind are Orlando Park Stop, the Diz, things like that. A Disney food blog. They have it all. So it made
Disney
sense
World
to me.
News today.
Well, Disney World News Today, I mean, he does exist. But yeah, so I was totally on board with it, and I had a blog, and I had renewed my subscription to this film blog and wasn't putting anything out. So I'm thinking, oh, this would be great because I could put that to actual use now too. Like, to me, it just would make sense. And we could repurpose a lot of the scripts that we had left in Purgatory, and it would still work. I mean, some of the gags would have to be cut because they're very visual, but all in all, they would still work. Yeah. And then Jonathan came back to me and said, hey, in March of 2020, so this is once the world shut down, we're trying to figure out how are we going to do anything. I'm like, well, we can try pod, because, at this present time, it's probably not a great idea for us to like get face to face and in a closed environment for 2 days to film stuff along with everything else. So I had pitched Jonathan, actually even before that, I had pitched Jonathan the idea of during season 2 of the videos to do a pod alongside it. And we had filmed a pilot of that on Valentine's Day, 2020, and put that out a month later, March 17th, 2020. And we went over Skull Island Reign of Kong video, deeper thoughts, because Jonathan really didn't get a say, and as far as opinion goes in Kong, because I was the host of that. And we just went deeper into the making of that video, kind of like how this one has been.
Yeah.
And we also talked about opinions that we had or didn't have, and kind of counteracted that, reacted to some of the comments and whatnot. But we didn't promote it too hard. I think we wanted to see how it would do on Anchor, or something. Either way, we didn't follow up on it. But around this time when Jonathan's thinking about doing a blog and thinking, well, I don't know about the blog anymore, what if we revisit that idea? And we totally retooled it, and that's what you're listening to now. And I think if you're familiar with that history, you know that history.
Yeah, I feel like we did that at the start, but yeah, we just turned it into the podcast, and we thought, hey, we can still retain a lot of the DNA, a lot of the analytical thinking, a lot of the concepts I feel like we have kind of been put into this, and it also allows us to be topical. And it allows us to do topical Banshee segments, which was the whole point of Balthazar's Banshee Bytes, but by the time we would edit those, they would no longer be topical. So
who's talking about theme park moving walkways anymore? What's this about Guy Diamond's butthole?
But yeah, so it ended up just being a really good formula to continue, and Adam was able to do the editing since I was continuing
Mhm.
my job on my other YouTube channel. And I still obviously didn't want to burn out. But Adam kind of took the reins of the editing, which I'm so thankful for. And he's definitely grown as an editor over the course of the
20
podcast.
episodes.
And then I just kind of made the thumbnails, and it's been such a wonderful experience to have like such reception to episodes like our Poseidon's Fury episode.
Yeah, holy
Adam's
crap,
finally gotten to
people.
talk about horror nights, which is something that he's always wanted to, that he really couldn't do with me.
Nope.
Um, we've gotten to do reviews of like new attractions, which I mean we did that for Hagrid's, but like I feel like now we can do it more often.
Oh,
And then we've had
good.
people like AJ Dana like reach out to us to be on the show, which I don't think that would have happened if the podcast had not existed. And I know
No.
he discovered us through I think the theme park story videos, but then like found the podcast through that, and
Yeah,
it was just like
if I remember his our conversations with him right, he said he watched the first video, then jumped into the podcast and then reached out from there.
it's like thank goodness he was able to see through the poor production quality of that first video.
I wonder if it was the Ern McManus quote.
Maybe, but it
I
was
would have
just
included that if we rewrote it, but
it,
whatever.
it was just so nice to have a podcast to do. I forget if we started every week and then we switched it to every other week.
We did. Yeah,
um
season 1 was every week, and it was just harder to be consistent that way.
yeah,
I know so we put out episode 1, which was the pilot. We put that out on a Tuesday because Fridays were going to be our day, and so the comeback video was Friday, October 22nd, and so I tried to have it out every Friday, and if I got delayed, then I'd still try to make the following Friday. So like our third episode, Jurassic World, came out 2 days before our fourth episode, Halloween Horror Nights 30, because Jurassic World was supposed to come out in October and not November, but it's still butting up against each other.
yeah,
So it just became very hectic, and I noticed kind of I think we could have gone for strong. I mean, we did the Universal Relics during that time too, but just I don't know, between like trying to plan ideas ahead, because I think we had a lot more planned in those first episodes than in the later ones of that
yeah,
season, to try to help promote that kind of creativity in terms of ideas and not just necessarily stick to the news of the day. It would be better. And we were planning to do season 2. We've been working on a Fast and Furious video script that unfortunately will be pushed off way late, years
yeah.
and years from now, or it'll just not see the light of day. It'll be rejiggered in some way. I'm not sure. But yeah, we've been working on that. So the idea was on the off weeks, we'd work on video stuff. And then on podcast weeks, you get that. So there's 2 weeks to edit as well as work on other things.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the time is coming to a close, at least on
Yeah.
Jonathan's chapter and all that.
It was really a pipe dream because I was applying to a lot of different places. And the idea that I would actually get into Universal straight out of college was, I guess it was never like super like real. It was kind of like oh maybe I'll get there. Just because I have a very unique skill set that's hard to market. I have marketing experience, I have social media experience, I have video editing experience. But like it's hard to find like a position specifically for video editing. Um, and specifically, with just like because I have graphic design as well. Um, and so it was one of those where it's like, all right, I need to just find something to work with my skills, and it ended up being a really cool position where I will get to design training videos for the company, which will be very cool. And I'm hoping to work my way into creative from there. And Universal is very open about growth in the company being something that they support and that they want. So I'm excited to start my journey there. And it really is sad that you have to bring this to a temporary close. But I would say the door is not closed forever. I think Theme Park Workshop, it will find ways to live on
Yeah, and I'll just say this too.
Yeah.
Like, you'll still get Theme Park Workshop in 2020, at least with me. I don't know exactly how it's going to look like, but I know the girls and I who have been doing the HHN episodes, Bella, Kelly, and Nicole, we love doing those. And after our second episode, we were all very excited to do more. So you'll definitely, as long as they're still willing, you'll keep on getting those episodes. I hope to keep this going, and I hope to keep on working with Jonathan in some way. We've been shooting around ideas of what we together are going to do next, and we're not entirely sure what that looks like, but you'll definitely get an update here on the channel when it does that. If you're following us on Twitter, that's a really weird way to say it. We'll definitely give you updates on what we plan to do next, but we're always going to be friends, because this is not like, oh, our collaboration broke apart. It's Jonathan's dream happened, which is what this has all been building up to, really. But also in the midst of it, we ended up growing to the point where you're listening to this episode. You've been listening to this episode for, I think, about 2 hours now, just us reflecting on our work together as collaborators and as friends. And that's the thing, like, this is just, our friendship has grown out of this whole thing. A lot of our Twitter DMs are simultaneously about planning for the channel and just sending what friends send to each other, having conversations and hyping up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 3, because I'm going through the show for the first time. And all that, you know. And so it's not with great joy that I move on, and Jonathan moves on, but because it's hard to imagine Theme Park Workshop without Jonathan. But I also feel like it has to go on at least until the end of the year. For me, just, you know, with the possibilities that could still exist with this, and it's going to be really hard to not do it with Jonathan every other week or every week or however often we ended up recording. And you know, it sucks, that part, but it's wonderful the reason why. And that's it's a bittersweet thing, you know. The reason why it could not be even sweeter unless Jonathan was crowned like CEO of Universal, but that's not gonna happen for some time. But I hope in all the episodes that you've seen, our friendship is so clear. I actually thought that I was probably gonna be the first one to leave Theme Park Workshop, because it wasn't even my idea in the first place, you know, to do this. I mean, it was Jonathan's idea, and just the things that I would bring to it and the things he would bring to it, they collaborate in such a wonderful jambalaya. And, you know, this is what you're getting. And it's, you know, we really caught our groove this season of the podcast, season 2 of the podcast. And at the end of the season, you know, there's a lot of unknowns going forward. I can't tell you when the next episode is going to be. We're actually already planning to take a bit of a break because he's getting married, and we didn't even talk about you getting, you know, engaged at Universal Studios.
Yeah, that was a whole story where I got engaged to my fiance in Central Park in December, and Adam was a part of that, and we never did the rundown on how he pulled that off. So maybe that'll be a story for another time.
Yeah, but yeah, just I forgot my train of thought, but it was just, you know, everything wonderful about Jonathan and what he's done for this channel, and how excited I get every time I see a thumbnail or a video draft, or, you know, sometimes begrudgingly I take his tips to improve the podcast, you know, as far as sound goes. I'm like, but you're like, Adam, it's too loud. I'm like, but I can hear it fine. Isn't that the point? It's like, no, it's blasting. Okay, let me turn it down. Oh, that does sound a lot better. Okay, Jonathan, you're right. So I'll still keep on sending him probably these episodes.
It's a creative process, man.
I
do the same thing.
But yeah, oh yeah, we're planning to take a break already, because he's getting married.
Yeah,
that's happening. I'm his best man.
Yeah, yes, you are. We were gonna stack some episodes, hopefully to release, but yeah, now it's kind of, you know, it works as a conclusion to this chapter that we got in 20 episodes of the podcast. And honestly, we kept it running very consistent. I think had we been able to keep going, this would have been really cool. But to kind of get sentimental like you are, it's like I don't think I realized just how important a part of the routine of life this podcast had become until I think about it ending, and it's just like, oh man, this was such a a fun and exciting thing to do. It was very enriching for our friendship and for just the community that we've started to build. You know, like I think both of us thought after that year-long hiatus, like I think any fans that we had have probably forgotten. But like looking at like the view counts on the episodes on YouTube and on Anchor, it's like we know a lot of you are out there listening week after week, and enjoying our conversation. I think that's been so rewarding for both of us, you know, as fans of theme parks. And then for you, Adam, just as somebody whose job isn't really in a creative field, to have that creative outlet, um, to really to you know do create. I feel like as creatives, like we're always chomping at the bit to stretch our creative muscles.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see you getting like more and more experimental as the episodes go on, which is so cool to see. Because you know, it's like you talk about being a fan. It's like, oh, I get an episode back and I listen to it, and I get to hear it as a fan,
Yeah.
which is so cool.
It's like, it's funny every time I get an idea, like I start getting a flood of ideas of what, you know, could be done. And I just feel guilty every time because I'm like, well, crap, I can't talk to Jonathan's not going to be there. Like, how can this be theme park workshop without Jonathan? And, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, maybe there is no theme park workshop without Jonathan Edewaard. Maybe it, you know, this is the end of the chapter, and you know, the chapters that happen next are just an epilogue, or maybe become something else entirely. I don't know. I don't know. That's a scary thing. But I mean, I hope if you keep on listening as a fan, you know, you enjoy it more and more as a fan, and please don't stop talking about it to me and stuff. But yeah, so I mean, if you're, you know, wondering, should you stay tuned, should you subscribe, should you, like, what should you do? I'd say stay tuned, because this happened very suddenly. We were about to film the next 4 episodes before Jonathan goes away on, you know, starts a new career and stuff, and then we got this notification that Jonathan's involvement would have to end prematurely, again, for the most fantastic reasons. So like literally the day after we put on Patreon, hey, here's the next 4 episodes that we're going to do. It's like, oh, well, I guess we're going to have to give it another notification before too long. And this is, you know, part of that notification. It's like really, really bum worthy. But I mean, Jonathan, you know this, but you know how proud I am of you, and just how, you know, wonderful this friendship is. And oh Lord, part of me wants to get emotional, but the other part's like, that's gonna, no, don't stop. But it is an emotional time. And yeah, it's I just love how our relationship as friends has grown, in part through this, but even outside it. And you know, these 3.5 years have been one heck of a ride, even better than Ainquazi.
Whoa, that is a compliment. That is a compliment. Yeah, I don't know how else to get sentimental. I think you kind of taken everything that I would have said. Just our friendship and and how it's grown, and I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the show. I'm thankful that, you know, God's blessed us to work so well together, as creatives, and to have this outlet just for as long as we've had, and to both be so passionate to pursue it as long as we've had. But yeah, I think to back up what Adam was saying, definitely stay tuned. We're undecided about what we're gonna do creatively together next. If it's going to be something like even in familiar territory or unfamiliar, I'm still gonna be running my own videos over at the Second Dimension.
Go subscribe to the Second Dimension. If you're not subscribed to the Second Dimension, I will find you and I will click for you.
But yeah, so I'll be posting videos on there still regularly. And like I said, I'm very open to Adam. You know, he now will have the keys to the channel. So I mean, he's always had the keys, but like he will officially have full creative reign. It could end up being, like Adam said, like we don't know. It could be a new co-host. It could just be Adam doing solo episodes. It could
I expect more guests
Yeah.
because I cannot do an episode alone.
I mean,
Probably.
you could do something. Start interviewing industry guests, or
Yeah. Or I could script everything. We'll see. Like
yeah.
there's boundless possibilities, which sounds like, wait, are you saying there were no boundless possibilities, Jonathan? No, Jonathan was also full of boundless possibilities, but they're just like, I think it's the I don't know what it is, you know, like I feel like every way I say it undercuts you, and obviously that's not true. But you know, here's what it is. It's entering a new creative process instead of continuing to develop. It's also by necessity a reinvention, but hopefully it has the same spirit. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we always went back and forth. I think that's the big change. Is just I'm not going to be creatively there, and you're gonna feel that no matter what comes next. But whatever does come next, um, like Adam and I will be talking, and I'm sure he will bounce ideas off of me, and like I'm not.
I'm already in your DMs every day, bud. Can't help it.
I'm not gonna be like, no.
I'll try not to be there during your honeymoon.
Yeah, no. We're going to Branson, Missouri, Silver Dollar City.
How
exciting! Gonna do that for the first time, but yeah. So stay on the lookout for whatever's coming next here at Theme Park Workshop and from Adam and I in the future. And thank you so much for listening and for being invested in our story and our journey through all the twists and turns that it's taken. Especially if you've been here since the first story video, please leave a comment and let us know that you have been a fan from the start, because we would love to recognize you and thank you for your long time support of the show.
Yeah, and thank you to all of the patrons that we've had through the years. I mean, right now our patron is Landon Kanoki. Thank you so much for your patronage, our friend. But also we've had AJ Dana, we've had Chandler Kanoki, we've had Bellhop Drew,
Chandler DeRoche.
Chandler DeRoche, yeah. And we're so thankful that you would literally invest in us for however long you did. Like, to me, that's still like, what? So right now that's paused. The Patreon is paused just as we figure out what's next. Just putting that out there. But of course, with everyone who's listened to the show and who has supported the show, whether it is just watching a video or watching a pod, or sorry, listening to a pod on whatever platform you do, like, we could not be more thankful that you care to listen to us for however long you do.
Yeah.
Even when it's something freaking weird, like Jonathan's weird idea to do Mr. Rogers Tells Star Wars, and it also be the best idea ever made next to Star Wars.
So I guess as a final thank you for listening, we should fill you in on what we did have planned over the next couple months for Theme Park Workshop. We had changed the direction based off of my experience with YouTube, and I did a video on the Second Dimension the previous year that was completely kind of unrelated to anything else I had done, called the insane Scooby-Doo spinoff you've never seen. Put a lot of time into it. It was like an hour and a half long. Did really well, and I feel like I'd learned the algorithm to the point where the algorithm just likes long videos no matter what they're about, as long as you can make them clickable. And so we had decided Theme Park Workshop would become specials, longer specials ranging in, I want to say we said like 30 to 45 minutes in length.
That's how I was going to start, yeah, while we were still doing the podcast.
Right, so we would work on these in our off times, and that would mean that I wouldn't feel that pressure to, we need to get this many videos out, which was how it had kind of been with the shorter videos. It could just be like, okay, I can just work on this in my spare time, and then whenever the video's done, it's done, and it's very clickable. The first video we had that was, I think Adam kind of touched on earlier, was called Everything Wrong with Fast and Furious Supercharged. Very clickable, very fun. We've talked about Fast and Furious Supercharged so much. It was a fun script, kind of just a really fun deconstruction of why that attraction does not work as an attraction. And so we did that, and then I think the next two were a revised Islands of Story, and then we were going to do a double feature on Turtle Trek and Antarctica, which I'm both very passionate about. And I feel like we had some more ideas. Do you remember any of the other ones?
I know we had written, or we had discussed, no, I had written it, and we had discussed about doing it for this one, but as like a Halloween special, maybe doing what we call the horror monomyth. If you've watched a video with Greg, he came up with this thing called the theme park monomyth, and he used it to analyze Splash Mountain. He also used it on our channel to analyze Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Well, little old me going through these scary mazes noticed, hey, there's kind of a theme here. Let's break that down. And so we're going to adapt his monomyth to, which of course is adapted already from Joseph Campbell's Heroes monomyth. Yeah, we're going to adapt that to haunt attractions. So Haunted Mansion and Halloween Horror Nights and Hallow Scream, things like that. We talked about doing that. That script's been in the works for a bit as well.
Yeah. So those were kind of our big plans, and we had started pre-production on those, but yeah, those sadly will not see the light of day at this point.
Especially not in the form they're originally meant to be in.
No, but before I die, I will make a video about Antarctica Empire of the Penguin. It's gonna happen.
I thought you had gone out of, our earnest and sentimental part and just canonically killed yourself off in your final episode. And I was like, what the heck, Jonathan? If we left a door open, we didn't think you were going to come back through it, but it was certainly open, and you just killed yourself off in the final episode. No, don't worry, folks, he's alive.
No. I'm still very much alive. So yeah, that was kind of the future. And I guess before we go, it would be fun to talk a little bit about Balthazar Banshee as a character.
I am real. Don't talk about me like I'm not.
Oh, sorry, Banshee.
Don't give him an inch.
And don't you patronize me. Patronize the patrons.
Banshee, no.
All right, back in the nighty night sack.
Wait! You promised I could air my thoughts on Cosmic Rewind.
It's the last episode. I'm okay with it. Adam?
Yeah, it's the unlovable Luck Dragon's last bit for a while. Take it away.
Now, you've all been anxiously awaiting my take on the cosmic feline, and let me tell you, it is not the cat's pajamas. Without Daddy Joe Rody to ensure this project was engaging, we instead got a mess of an attraction that looks like Walt Disney Imagineering went Watergate, pulled the shredder paper from Universal Creative and only saw one word: screens. And then they wrote Poseidon's Fury while they were there. This is a creatively bankrupt attraction, and not just because it's the world's most expensive coaster. There is nothing new here. The Omnicoaster? Please, Disney, stop giving your new technologies ridiculous names like RMC does when they invent a new way to turn you upside down. Your roller coaster spins? Sure, so did Primeval Whirl. At least that tied in with theming. Joe Rody created the most interesting backstory for true Disney fans to uncover, and the cheap feel only enhanced the experience. Where does an Omnicoaster or a talking rodent fit in the Epcot Center? I'm waiting. Joe makes everything old feel brand new again. He's just that good. Needless to say, Cosmic Rewind looks like a 2022 McDonald's from the outside, devoid of any architectural creativity, and with a lazy ship featuring an exposed steel beam that Disney couldn't bother to remove. Thankfully, my good friend Terry Crews redeems this ride, as his performance is the best in recent theme park memory. It makes what little this attraction offers shine, and I feel like a true Epcotian when I fly past the people vomiting in motion sickness bags as I disembark. How would I, Balthazar Banshee, fix this attraction? Simple. Replace it with Horizons. Case closed. If Disney can acknowledge it's a meme through a forced Chris Pratt teleprompter line, they can afford to build it again. Hashtag find Buzzy. Banshee out.
Well, that was Balthazar Banshee.
That was indeed Balthazar Banshee. Should I read off all the insults I made up for him during our run?
Oh, you made a list?
Oh, I made a list. I checked it twice. This is from 2019. Balthazar Banshee, the Flying Unicorn. Balthazar Banshee, Old Big Gira ripoff. Balthazar Banshee, the overpriced sock puppet. Balthazar Banshee, aka Puff the Magic Dragon, the unlovable Luck Dragon, a creamy, slimy mutant lizard, rather known as Jim Henson's 502nd rejected Muppet and James Cameron's forgotten love child. He's a soft-bellied wrinkle slapper, hard-boiled egg machine, a poor man's figment, a scaly whippersnapper, a flibberty gibbet, a will-o'-the-wisp, a clown. But he is Balthazar Banshee, and this channel would not be the same without him.
It would not. He is, do I dare say it, our friend.
Sorry, I just heard the Lion King track when Mufasa dies.
No.
The original, not the remake, of course.
Yes, of course. So to close the show, I think it would be cool to share our favorite memory from Theme Park Workshop, our favorite moment from the history of the show, maybe your favorite episode, or a favorite just actual moment of Theme Park Workshop. That's very vague, but such is a farewell show.
It is open-ended. I mean, I think my favorite moment has to be seeing, well, gosh, it's one of the favorite moments because there's a lot of moments I remember and I look back on fondly. Like there's the weekend where I went out to shoot the Star Wars video, Star Wars miniseries, because it was not a mega video, it was a miniseries at that point. And just the exhaustion we were both feeling, but we're going to truck through because this was the only chance we're going to get to do it, and we freaking did it. Like that was a great moment. Gosh, there's so many bloopers that you haven't seen that would definitely be top 10. There's one where Banshee is presenting and Jonathan ad-libs something and Banshee ad-libs back in an unexpected way, and we both die. All three of us die, really, in the most spectacular way. And gosh, I cannot wait for you to see that moment someday. It is immaculate. Just single moments is like actually carrying out Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And oh, you know what? Actually, my favorite Banshee moment has to be your performance. Oh Lord, when it was very recent too. It was the was it Hollywood Studios?
I think so. Was that when he did the Avatar rant?
Yeah, when Banshee discovered Avatar 2 was happening. That has to be my favorite Balthazar Banshee moment. Well, I forget what episode. Oh, sorry, that was our Epcot Recentered episode. So just go back a couple. Just if you haven't listened to it, I mean, it's worth checking out. But gosh, I was dying. I was cheering. I was clapping. I was ordering flowers to deliver to your house. I don't know if you got them.
I didn't.
Oh, good. But it was just the most amazing performance, the most amazing anything I had seen. So that's my favorite recent moment. But there have been so many. There have been so many memories that we've made on the show, man.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what yours is, so you can put me to shame by having one concrete moment that sums up everything.
You know,
that tends to be what happens.
That one joke that you were bringing up, that I honestly do not remember the specifics of it anymore, but I remember cracking up at that for like at least an hour and a half, just being unable to get over that joke. That was fantastic. Just our back and forth while shooting some of the videos was just always so entertaining. Like our comments on each other's flubs. I think as far as like
you got brutal sometimes.
It did. We, especially when we couldn't get our lines straight, but
or then they come out straight.
I remember really liking. There was this moment that I thought we captured on video, but I don't think we did. It was getting off of Hagrid's motorbike adventure for the first time because we wrote it for the first time together. And like we were recording like a vlog that we were gonna post somewhere, or like even just like a video of our first reactions. And there was like the fireworks show was going off, and a team member was like, "What is this Muggle device to record?" And it was pure chaos and adrenaline. And that was a really cool moment.
I forgot about that until you just brought it up. If it's anywhere, it's on your phone, but I don't know if you deleted it because it wasn't going to work for your purposes.
I feel like I went back to look at it and like it didn't record or something. Something went wrong with it.
I could imagine because there's a lot going on in that moment that of course it wouldn't record.
Yeah.
This was the first time we wrote it. It was, you could hardly see us. So we were like cramped up next to the Hagrid's merchandise stalls where they're selling that t-shirt that somehow is still a product. It's a fine shirt, but I'm surprised they're still selling it because it's, ride merch. But yeah, the TM just walking up in the middle of your sentence, and you're like, "Oh, this is a video camera. We're vlogging. Oh, a vlog. Interesting. I wonder if I
Yeah.
could do that with my wand." I don't know what you said.
Yeah, our first ride on Hagrid's and it being a night ride, and
Front row.
yeah, I got front row. You were in the row behind me. You rode with your brother.
Yeah, I mean that worked for me.
Yeah, that was still so like that was such a great night. And I don't think I expected you to see you there that day either.
I ran with hot chocolate for you.
Yeah,
That's the depth of my love for you, Jonathan. I almost threw away a perfectly good hot cocoa from Toothsome.
I'm trying to think like other.
Oh, do you remember our SeaWorld trip?
I was thinking about that before I got lost and thought, yes, our SeaWorld trip. That was when we met Chandler and Landon for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard their names throughout the show, but it was our first in-person meeting, and that was just that was such a fun day. And
then we were sauntering into Sesame Street all by ourselves, and we were just, what's the term? Belting out the theme song, and it's just the most wholesome thing that we've ever made. It's on our Instagram, so like go on Theme Park Workshop on Instagram and see if you can find it. But I look at that and I always smile. Yeah, and then I think we rode the boxcar derby together that day, and that was fun. We waited like 35 minutes, and it felt like 6 hours. Did I ride Velocicoaster with you for the first time? The which coaster? Velocicoaster. No, because I didn't get a preview day for that, but you did. No, but like, was for your first time, was I riding? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I rode with you, and then later we rode with Landon and Matt, I think. That's right. I remember. I think we did 3 times. Yeah, they did, yeah. I had to tap out. You were tapped out after 2, but I remember that being a really fun day. Like all of our Universal trips where we just went to the parks and just hung out. I think that's probably my favorite. I mean, the shooting days were certainly an adventure, but there was something about just hanging out at the parks and having discussions and knowing that any one thing that we said could spin off into some sort of crazy adventure that we would be working on for the next 6 or 7 months. Like, Jonathan, I think I want to do something about E.T. We got to ride this, okay? Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure, we'll do E.T. And I usually get priority because I don't live by the parks or work there either now. So I'm like, well, I was kind of thinking we could do this. Yeah, sure. You really want to do like, I don't even know, Can the Hat? Yeah. Like, we'll do Can the Hat. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so those are some of our favorite memories. I guess some of your favorite memories from the show too. Like, I know we've gotten comments before, pointing out certain scenes. I know Mr. Rogers is a fan favorite. That we've heard about anyway. Yeah. But if you've been listening to the show and you've made it this far into the show, which you deserve a medal, it's going to be a long one, fan. But yeah, let us know just like what some of your favorite moments with Theme Park Workshop have been, because that would be nice. Especially if you're listening to this, you've been a guest. Like, thank you for coming on the show. During our first 3.5 years, even if your insert like Seth Kaburski was. We'll have redemption one day for that. Treat you better, Seth. But yeah, just if you've been involved in the show in some way, let us know when if you've enjoyed any part of that and like what your favorite part would have been, and just celebrate the show as we celebrate Jonathan. Yeah, and I'm sure if the time comes for Adam to leave the show, I'll have to come back and celebrate his achievements as well. But yes, for now, we are moving on. Thank you so much for listening to Theme Park Workshop.
Oh, they left the mic on. Haha. Time for my 3-hour dissertation on Disney's all-star resorts.